class of 2021. How to say farewell to you after this momentous, heavy, sobering year. Over 590,000 deaths in this country and over 3.5 million worldwide due to the pandemic. As we read about India and see pictures of people cremating their loved ones in public squares, as the conflict in the Middle East once again flares up, as nations are struggling to cooperate over vaccines, as newspapers are running articles about whether humans are about to destroy the planet, and when this country remains wounded in its quest for social justice and equity for those suffering from racism, it is difficult to recap this year. But I am grateful to be here today together. Even though it might not fit our exact imaginations of it, the moment still offers us an opportunity for connection and happiness. On the note of gratitude, I'm truly honored you trusted me with these few minutes. This is a special moment. You're graduating from one of the top institutions in the country, and you're in your 20s. Either one of these suffice for a celebration on their own. So breathe in the moment and let it sit with you for a while. I was told that my last commencement speech back in 2014 was unexpected and surprising to some, because as an international relations professor, the wager was on me to talk about subjects such as war, tariffs on important goods, and whether the international liberal order will survive. Instead, in that speech, I talked about love. So during this speech, I wanted to pick one of those themes, and I decided to go with the prospects for the international liberal order. I'm joking. It's a Sunday morning. You're exhausted from the semester and from this week's celebrations. By the way, I'm really funny in Turkish. I am, yeah. In all seriousness, though, I want to answer a quintessential Swarthmore question that a member of your cohort asked me. I quote, "As an adult who lives in the real world, what things became more important to you after college that you wouldn't have expected as a college student?" Unquote. I love this question, and I would like to offer 4 observations in an attempt to respond. I don't want you to think that I'm capable of following my own advice well, or consistently, or even at all. Hence, these are just my observations. Observation 1. As wonderful as the great achievements of our life taste, happiness lies in being able to draw satisfaction from the smaller moments. When I was much younger, I equated happiness with grand moments. As I've grown older, I understand happiness as being able to enjoy the small moments. It is being outside and looking up to the sky and seeing the leaves dance before a storm. It is about having a wonderful conversation with an old friend. It is about seeing a stranger doing an act of kindness. It is about blasting one of your favorite songs with the windows rolled down on a road trip. I do not deny that you might need some big moments, like this very one, to get you to the small ones. But happiness lies in being able to capture the specialness of a completely mundane-seeming moment and being grateful for life. Observation number 2. Being loyal to your values and ideas is important, but being open-minded is also crucial. As you enter the quote-unquote real world, one of the things you may find difficult is balancing being intellectually open-minded and nimble with non-neutrality. Being objective without being neutral can be an incredibly challenging task at sometimes. We cannot, for instance, expect it to be neutral in the face of human rights violations or democratic backsliding or systemic injustice. I'm not suggesting that it's straightforward to channel that non-neutrality into meaningful action. There might also be moments when objectivity is not meaningful. In the face of mass atrocities, for instance, objectivity does not have as much value as non-neutrality. But in normal day-to-day interactions, without compromising our ethics and values in the name of neutrality, how can we, in most of our interactions, nonetheless be objective and open-minded? Philosopher Kwame Anthony Appiah helps us with this question. I quote from him, quote, "You're asking us, the skeptic says, to care about all human beings. but we care only about people with whom we share an identity, national, familiar, religious, or the like. And those identities get their psychological energy from the fact that to every in-group, there's an out-group. Loving America has in part to be about hating, or anyway, disliking America's enemies. And the trouble with humanity as an identity is that there's no out-group to generate the binding energy that every in-group needs, unquote. Appia goes on to explain that, quote, the force of the objection is not that we can't take a moral interest in strangers, but that interest is bound to be abstract, lacking in the warmth and power that comes from shared identity, unquote. In overcoming this problem of the abstract human being, Appia goes on to suggest that we need to learn about others to transform them from being abstract beings to real individuals. When we do so, we turn imaginary strangers into real human beings. And even if we end up not liking them, we can still try to make sense of them. Don't give up on your values, but be as open-minded as possible. To be able to do so, you might need to converse with those who you know you will disagree with, and communicate with those who will not always endorse your actions and thinking. Observation number 3, time is unexpected. It goes faster when you want it slower, and slower when you want it faster. At your age, I reasonably expected good and bad things, but they have rarely come in the form I envisioned they would. That's the problem with challenges. They come in forms you don't expect. You expect the difficulties of being a minority, for instance. You foresee the lifelong difficulty of being an immigrant. You expect the difficulty of raising kids in a competitive world where you prioritize kindness, but also want them to succeed, so you push them to be competitive. You expect to run out of time for some things and have ample time for others. But life makes you run out of time when you don't expect it and asks you to wait long hours when you least want to. At this moment, you may be restless to go grab the next phase of your life, especially after a difficult year like this. In all likelihood, because I'm a social scientist, I can in good conscience say, I assure you, so in all likelihood, you have plenty of time, not just to choose your path, but also to change it. When things get really tough, remember these 2 lines the Turkish poet Nazım Hikmet wrote from his prison cell due to political persecution. Quote, it's this way, being captured is beside the point. The point is not to surrender, unquote. Observation number 4, motivation comes from within, but inspiration comes from the outside. I think here Swarthmore students really stand out. You're way ahead of us. You're way ahead of many of us here. You're good at finding the inspiration to keep bridging over gaps in our systems. Production, consumption, and goal-seeking, which remain only individualistic, create literal and emotional waste. You are naturally inclined to know we need to marry our quest for individual recognition, acceptance, and equality with larger goals that transcend our individual moments, our particular societies, and even our lifespans. These thoughts took me to a poem by Mary Oliver, from which I will read selectively. You can die for it, an idea or the world. People have done so brilliantly, letting their small bodies be bound to the stake, creating an unforgettable flurry of light. But this morning, climbing the familiar hills in the familiar fabric of dawn, I thought how the sun blazes for everyone as it rises under the lashes of my own eyes. And I thought, I am so many. What is my name? What is the name of the deep breath I would take over and over for all of us, unquote. Class of 2021, you are now guardians and custodians of this institution and no longer its students. Remember the kind of institution you want others to inherit from your efforts. Take small opportunities, such as talking to a prospective student, to tell them about this place, but use that opportunity to make it even stronger. See this institution lovingly, but not unrealistically. Remember its wonderful moments, but also its imperfections and shortcomings, and do what you're good at doing, making it better. I know you will be great in the real world, just as you were in this one. Wishing you the best for the next phase of your life. Congratulations.